And I'm like, no, I wasn't behind that. But of course, everybody pointed at the dude that dresses like a slob, and then the whole nation just had like a meltdown, like, oh my God, the Senate's on fire because I dress like a slob. But my life is just much better in D.C. That unless that I'm going to be on the floor, that I'm not. Oh, sure, absolutely. Like it was a rough conversation after that. They brought me into the hospital, and then I went under, and then I woke up, and they said, hey, we got it, we got the clot, the clot that essentially just what killed me, and I'm like, oh, that's good, and then just kind of went back under. And at that point, I had no idea where we were at on those things. And then I had, the next morning, I woke up, and then a doctor came on, and he had kind of a grim kind of a look on his face and things. And my dad was there sitting next to me at the bed. And I was like, well, hey, Doc, I mean, what do you think? What do you like? And he's like, well, your heart is functioning at an incredibly low kinds of percentage, and I'm like, well, what do you think? And he was like, well, I mean, there's some issues, and I'm like, well, are we talking, maybe a year kind of thing, and like, and I'm like,
and this is all while you were running for Senate?
Yeah. This was 3 days before the primary.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was on my way to an event, and my wife Giselle, she's like, you're having a stroke, because they had that classic kinds of where half of my face, I didn't know that, but it kind of just
slumped.
Yeah, and then they hotlined me over to the hospital, and I wouldn't have survived if we were in a different. I mean, there's parts of Pennsylvania, and that's part of the tragic. That if I wasn't close to the kinds of hospital that I was, it's 100% that I wouldn't have survived that.
Wow.
And it got me there in enough time, and they were able to. There was an expert there, and I actually I met that doctor that literally saved my life. And I'm like, oh my God. And he usually wasn't based in that hospital. He was usually out of Delaware, but he happened to be there.
Wow.
And he was here to give me an award for being that kind of an advocate for those things. I'm like, no, you deserve the award on that. And
that's incredibly lucky.
Yeah. And then I asked, really looking for like a countdown of like, well, what's the prognosis? And there wasn't much there on that. And I had to was I going to survive for long, or what's that going to look? And then of course the entire majority on the Senate really was on the middle of that, and that's a big responsibility after that. And then so the primary. It happened, and then I actually had a really strong win, and I won all of 67 counties. Pennsylvania has 67 counties, and we carried every county, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and all across Pennsylvania. But at that point, I had a responsibility. It's like, am I able to recover, or am I going to be okay? And I wouldn't recommend being in that situation. But I made a commitment. More than anything, I was more worried about being around to be a dad. I mean, I have three young kids. And my wife, she lived through all of this. So at that point, it started. I was in the hospital for about 10 days. And I started to get better and better. The strength started to come back a little bit, but it was still rough. And it was very, very clear, though, that I had a capacity to. It's been impaired on hearing and those kinds of interaction and those things. But that's the thing. But he kind of lost that. And what was also pretty funny is that he lived in New Jersey. And so we were like, hey, we need to use that and point out that. So we decided early on that we are going to just like, hey, it matters. It's like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with living on New Jersey, but there probably is an issue if you're running for the Senate. So
yeah.
And I really have like an ethos is that I'm not ever going to be mean, and I'm not going to be personal about that. So we tried to have a lot of fun with the fact that he lives in New Jersey, and we just really just kept hitting him, and we had Snooki. did like a cameo saying, "Gee, Mehmet, good luck. I know things are going rough now, but you're going to be able to come back to New Jersey," and that got viral. And we did a lot of those viral kinds of moments. And they have this thing where they have what's really penetrated, and they have circles on things like what's really part of, like, people asking about Dr. Oz, and one of those zeros, the O's, was he's weird, but the biggest one, New Jersey. I mean, literally, New Jersey was.
That was the biggest one?
Yeah.
Well, Pennsylvania and New Jersey, even though they're neighbors, they do have a bit of a rivalry.
Yeah, well, of course, and people have to understand that it's like that funny thing, and I mean it borders with Pennsylvania, and that it really matters. It matters to that, and of course, Dr. Oz was strange in some sense, and we always try to have fun with making fun of him. Are you a fan? Are you a fan of The Simpsons?
Yeah,
yeah, but we matched up perfectly with Dr. Nick. Dr. Nick, Dr. Oz. And we found all the weird shit that Dr. Nick would say. And then they have a clip of Dr. Oz saying those kinds of things. And then that's that's where it was. And we had a lot of fun with that. And things we all figured out, well, we chose to kind of empty the clip, metaphorically, and really start hitting him. We went up on TV throughout the summer, and he was really put on his back, and he was essentially thinking he could kind of take the summer off. And then our polling, we got up about 10, 11 points. And things, if anyone's listening ever heard of the 538, they track on those races. And the highest percentage we had to win was, I think, about 84%. And things kept winning great, really, really great. And then I had to decide on my birthday on August 15th. And things were going so well. And I thought I'm like, okay. Then we decided to stay on that race. And that's what we did. And then, post Labor Day, oh my gosh, we got nuked in a way that it's never been experienced that before. And then
how so? What do you mean?
$100 million of paid media to destroy you. I mean, just tear you apart. Every aspect of your life.
$100 million they spent.
$100 million
for a job that pays how much?
Yeah. It came from PACs, from right. Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz put in $28 million.
How crazy is that? Because what is Senate? What does it pay being a senator?
Pay being a senator?
Yeah.
It's $174,000. Can I talk about this?
Please.
I don't understand why some incredibly wealthy dudes will spend tens and tens of millions of dollars just to take that. And I try to tell people there's no glamour here. I just talked about that in an interview.
Do you think he wanted to become president, and this was like a step to being president?
I guess everybody wants the Iron Throne. I get it, but it's really not. But it's a different kinds of skills. And it really doesn't transfer over very well on that. But right now in Pennsylvania, David McCormick, Connecticut man. I want to talk about depression. And there's a paradox. You might be a place in your life that you've actually kind of won, but depression lies to you and it convinces you that you've lost. And my depression got far more worse after I won. And then it was a downward spiral. And then if you don't check your depression, then you go down a dangerous slope about self-harm. And I got to occupy that kind of a dark place. And that's when I realized that I have a choice. It's like, if I don't address this, then I had an emergency brake. It's like I have to stop. I have to, and that was my kids. I'm like, I can't be the example. And when you're going to get older in life and you're going to have those kinds of challenge, well, hey, Dad decided to leave. Oh, that must be the right thing. And I'm like, I cannot allow myself to be the example for that. So I stayed in the game. And I was able to get help, and I got much better. So, like, for me, it's like I originally didn't want to talk about self-harm because that's definitely not a great political winner.
Right.
But I was like, I have to be I have to be honest about that and honest. And people, that really resonated with people. I think I was the first politician, especially at that level, talking about self-harm. And if people that are suffering, you have a huge audience. I'm willing to bet plenty of them are suffering from that or looking through those kinds of issues.
No doubt.
Yeah, and I promise people, whatever your path, whatever your path is for recovery, and I'm not an expert, but if you promise yourself to stay in that game, that you already, you're almost guaranteed to get better because I promise you it will get better. And I was at the point where I was really, in a very dark place, and I stayed in that game, and I'm staying in front of you right now and having this conversation. And so that's what I try to tell everybody, whether they're listening today or in other times when I've had that. It's an honest conversation, but it is a red and blue conversation, and it's a rural and urban or suburban conversation. It's men or women or even younger kids. I've had conversations with teenagers, with their parents, and they've even tried to take their lives. And I can't think of anything much more tragic than, especially a young person, taking their lives over some of the things that I never thought that voice would.
The best aspect of it. The best aspect of it is good people that are ambitious, that want a better life, which is how this country was founded. The worst aspect of it is Venezuelan gangs that are taking over apartment buildings in Aurora, Colorado, and San Antonio, Texas. That's the worst aspect of it, is that they're letting in gang members. Venezuela's emptied out their prisons, and essentially, according to the president,
the Mario boat lift, the whole.
Right, what happened in Cuba. Yeah, the same kind of deal. Emptying out their prisons and instructing these people to make it to America. This is a significant problem with the open border.
Yeah, and that's why we need a secure border. And there's also in it that all of this is about a truth, is that America is a beacon to the world. Millions of people. The demand to become a citizen here or to participate in our amazing society, the demand outstrips the space there. And we're already the very pro-immigration. We allow more kinds of a path, more than any other nations in the world on that. And people are willing to die, and they put themselves at risk just to kind of get here, to be able to participate here. So America isn't the problem. America is one of the great hopes in the world. And that's why so many people want to come be a part of that. And that's why it has to have an effective border. And it's like, if we had a real issue here and we wanted to address that, and that's why my former professor said that you're never going to have the kind of a deal, because it is useful for both sides to weaponize that and to demonize one side or turn the other thing in there, because it's a serious, important issue.
It's a political talking point that they're always going to use. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, it's useful. I mean, it's weaponized, and that's why you have to have an honest conversation. And that's the thing I've always, I was reaching out saying that was referred to HR 1, and that was kind of like the dream kind of immigration law coming out of the House. And I was like, hey, if that border deal goes down, then it's like, hey, we should continue to have that conversation.
Right.
It's like they're parts of their parts.
But what's contradictory is that, say, if you're coming from Canada or Europe and you're a highly skilled, college-educated person who wants to live in America and become a United States citizen, the path to citizenship is incredibly difficult. It's hard. You have to go up for review. You have to show that you're doing something that Americans can't do. You have to be a person of significant talent or ability. There's something about you that we want you in here. Yet, if you just make it across the border and walk in, people want to give you amnesty, and they want to allow you a path to citizenship quickly without any of those hoops. You don't have to take tests. You don't have to go up for review. Not only that, but once you get here, once you apply for amnesty, there's a significant wait period where you're allowed to maintain your residence in this country. It's between 7 and sometimes longer years.